Well, on one hand, Muv Luv Alternative episode 19 felt like nothing much happened. It felt like a lot of build up to what's to come, and I think a lot of people are already kind of hinting that something's gonna go down. Obviously, something's going down because they're heading towards a hive, but stuff's about to go down. It felt like this episode was really just a lot of build up to that. The calm before the storm, if you want to say that. But I really do think that in the middle of all this stuff, which was pretty much a lot of what are you fighting for? They have the convenient character runs into a bunch of people and they all talk about what they're fighting for. I got a lot of feelings of late in the last part where they have this segment where Shirogane is walking around this forest and keeps bumping into random people. And they all have to talk about how they feel about the current situation. Kind of felt like that. Let's see what everybody's feeling about this whole situation. It was really more about the people that he just met. His new captain and Kashigawa, obviously. But additionally, I think in the middle of there was this one bit about Maya. And I really, really liked this segment because it was really showing that she got discarded and they... At least Shirogane is assuming that they want her dead, which I think is really screwed up. But now, opening up the episode, we have the point which Sumika is waking up Shirogane in the morning, and it seems like she's pulling memories from the other world that she used to wake him up every morning. And she's trying to figure out if it's something that she dreamed about, or if it's something that she actually did, and he's like, no, this is exactly what you should be doing. He's like, yes, wake me up every morning. But it's transitioned to them announcing that they have initiated Operation 21, which is their operation where they're going to be sending out a whole bunch of different fleets, some to attack from above, some to come in and do diversions, take over the beach, and then eventually A01 is supposed to come in with their new special weapon to go inside the hive and gather information. And they did get a little bit more detail into this secret weapon. It's not just Sumika herself. She's going to be within this new, special mecha that they've designed. And apparently it seems like this is something that the Americans actually designed. XG90B aka Susanoo O Mark II. And this apparently is a big, massive, fortress that I think they insinuated was controlled by gravity. It's got this kind of shield around it that, diverts attacks. But additionally, it's this moving fortress that they planned to use on hives before. It's just it costs so much money to produce. Alternative, cheaper methods were produced. Obviously, the one thing that Kozuki does not like, the G-bombs. The G-bombs were much easier for them to build and take out these hives with, which is kind of been one of those things that's always been a struggle in this series, is the idea of why wouldn't they use these G-bombs? Obviously, we don't want them to use them. They've already mentioned the idea that they would so love to take down the entire Eastern Front just by throwing a G-bomb on it, but they don't want that. So Kozuki went through all the trouble of securing this unit so they can use it for this project. Essentially, something that will shield Sumika. So A01, their whole mission is to just protect that fortress, even though it seems like that fortress is going to be able to protect itself, which to Kozuki's credit, she's already kind of feeling this. If we can go in there and this works out, we can probably shave off a couple units. But for now, she wants to play it super safe. That's why they have I don't know, how many they list? 10 different units that will be involved with this whole process of going into this one hive. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes in this episode follows this, in which Tsukuyomi confronts Shirogane. Says, I need a favor from you. So she goes, takes him out this forest, and she says, look, once Operation 21 was issued, we were reassigned to the Royal Guard, to represent the Royal Guard. Basically, they're being pulled away to no longer guard Maya. Because with everything that happened, attention is being drawn to Maya as being some sort of involvement. She played as a surrogate. So to prevent some possibility of maybe the Americans using her, they decided to pull all signs that she's being guarded as somebody that's tied to the shogunate. Which obviously Shirogane's like, what the hell? And like I said, he technically within his own head here, he's believing, oh, they're doing that because they want to draw attention away from her to remove any question that she's somehow tied to them. But additionally, they're probably hoping, because they got her pushed into this whole project, that they're hoping that she gets killed in action. Which, yes, if the case, screw all these guys. Even after everything Maya has done for them, all this effort that she put into in this last project, again, technically putting herself out there, putting the target on herself rather than her sister, they now want to get rid of her. She's a threat to them. But it does kind of wrap up in a nice way. And the idea that Shirogane realized at some point, with everything that happened, I don't think she's going to do anything crazy, because that's really what Tsukuyomi's fear is. If she goes out there and starts doing something crazy, get herself killed, stop her, admonish her. But he's like, no, look, I think after everything that happened, her goal is to protect the shogunate and the Japanese people. There's no way she would do something stupid like that. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how crazy things get in the next episode. But yeah, the Operation 21 kicks off. Everybody's sent out. And yes, we get a brief scene with Kashiwagi as they're on the ship to go out. And again, this is where we're kind of starting to have this little moment of, what are you fighting for each character? And it seems like from Kashiwagi's perspective, she wants to protect her brothers. If this thing's successful, then there's a possibility they won't have to go out to war. It's a selfish dream, but at the same time, that's her desire. Which, yes, Shirogane believes, look, I'm the same thing. Sumika, that's my selfish desire. But I like how this kind of piggybacks into his conversation with the captain, where the captain presents the same exact question, what are you fighting for? Which his response is actually technically, oh, I've ruined a lot of things and I want to get back. Which she probably doesn't get exactly what he's talking about, but yes, ruining everything in that other world and him wanting to get back to there. But it was interesting because it turns into a whole conversation about, how would you feel if you were on the battlefield and somebody that you loved was at your side? Would you essentially screw up the mission for it? It's almost as if Shirogane right here is implying that if something happens to Sumika when they're on the battlefield, he might mess up the mission and go against his orders to help her. Because now the one that he loves the most is going to be at his side on the battlefield. And it was interesting because the captain actually brings up this idea that they had a survey at some point. This is a survey they compared to apparently a previous world war about what the people themselves are fighting for the most. No, it's not for your nation that Shirogane believes. Yes, if you're on the battlefield, obviously you're trying to save your nation. If it's the current time the beta is attacking, you'd want to be saving humanity. No, it was their comrades. That was a thing at the forefront of their minds. The people at their side, their comrades, and those others that are on the battlefield or could be on the battlefield. So it makes perfect sense, this idea that you've been on the battlefield so long, you're away from your people, and you form this camaraderie. And yes, I think that kind of extends to the idea of somebody being on the battlefield that you love. But yeah, when he asks her about the idea of would you protect somebody that you love on the battlefield, he's like, wow, that's a very, very direct and complicated question. But she does mention the idea, and I think this is a reference to another thing, because very specific characters here. This other dating sim where she is one of many sisters after the main character. But yeah, she's already figured out that one of her sisters is going to be a part of this operation as well. So it was dorky because she starts to relate to him in the idea that they're childhood friends. He tells her that Sumika is his childhood friend, and she's like, oh, you're childhood friends too. I'm childhood friends too. And so she suddenly hates him because she realizes that he's kind of similar to this guy that she's trying to get his attention, and they're both delaying it. Which all leads to, I'm assuming, a scene that was in the original Muv Luv, and the idea that the reason why he believes that she loves him is because she did something to him in the bathtub. Or the hot spring. But yeah, interesting episode overall. Like I said, I think my biggest joy out of this episode was just that little nugget of Maya. I think they're really doing very well in developing Maya in pretty much the entirety of Muv Luv Alternative. I really feel like Maya has turned out to be the one character that it seems like they put a lot of focus on. Everything with the Shogun, and then also additionally with her technically breaking away from the Shogun and doing her own thing. So while she is being abandoned by them, it almost feels as if she's being her own person. I think, again, Shirogane jumps on that. Like, this is her chance to be her own thing. A couple of things that I forgot to mention is Sakura, they put a lot of emphasis on her as well, obviously acknowledging that she's from Sato and everything. Additionally, I found it very ominous. They had this one scene where after they got the operation given to them, I like how the camera pans out and you can see the whiteboard that's been flipped and it has their motto on the back of it. As they're all talking about how they're going to make this successful, the motto is basically pointing out again this idea of making your death count, which I think is flagging the next episode. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it now. I'm not gonna let this show fool me anymore. I'm just ready for just bodies everywhere as they go into this fight. Maya's been flagged, the captain's been flagged, and Kashiwagi's been flagged. At least those three. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you've not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. And y'all take care.